What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. We might be in a completely different housing market era here in Metro Atlanta. Some of the numbers that we're going to go over in this video are shocking. Let me explain. Hey, I'm Victor with Living in Atlanta, Georgia, and we put out weekly videos about what it's like to live in the city of Atlanta and the surrounding suburbs. We talk about the homes, the community, we talk about the schools, and every once in a while, we talk about the housing market and some of the numbers that we're seeing in the housing market in Metro Atlanta. And these numbers that we're going to go over in this video really are startling. And I think it's super important for you to keep in mind some of these things if you're thinking about buying a home in Metro Atlanta. Of course, if you're thinking about moving to Atlanta or any of the cities around Atlanta, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. Thank you so much to everyone who has reached out. I'm always happy to help. To really get a good idea of what's happening in the housing market today, let's talk briefly about what has happened in the housing market in the last year. Really, about a year ago, there was an absolute circus of a housing market here in Metro Atlanta. Every house that came on the market was sold in sometimes a couple days. It was just crazy. There would be 20 offers for every house. The sold price was like 100,000 over the asking price because there were so many people and so many offers. So everyone was trying to beat everybody else. So the sold price would be so much higher than the list price. And it was just nuts. And this was when the interest rates were lower. This is when interest rates were at like 3%. But then what happened was around April, May, maybe June of last year, the interest rates went up. And this is when buyers just, for a little while there, like in the fall and winter of 2022, it was like a ghost town in the housing market, especially here in Metro Atlanta. There were very few buyers, and homes were lasting a long time on the market during the fall and winter of 2022. And all of that had to do with the fact that buyers just disappeared because of the drastic increase in the interest rates. Buyers have come back to the housing market, and some of these numbers are really surprising. So let's take a deep dive into these numbers and we can talk about that. So one of the first things that you should know is days on market. Days on market is the amount of time that a home is on the market before the seller finds a buyer. So once they go under contract, that number stops. So if the house is listed on Friday and it goes under contract on Monday, it would have 3 days on market. But if it's listed today and it goes under contract 30 days from now, this would be obviously 30 days on market. And this kind of indicates the amount of buyer demand that we've been seeing. The less amount of days, the more amount of buyer demand. And when the housing market was a crazy circus a year ago, it was like 2 or 3 days average on the market. But what we're seeing today is very surprising. The average days on market in Metro Atlanta for listings in March of this year was 17 days. In April, it went down to 11 days. And in May, it went down to 9 days. So each month, we're seeing more and more buyers. We're getting closer and closer to that 3 or 4 day mark for average days on market. So we're certainly seeing an increase in buyer demand in Metro Atlanta every month. Now let's look at average home values in Metro Atlanta in the last 3 months. In March of this year, average home value in Metro Atlanta was $395,000. In April, it was $405,000, and by the end of May, average home value shot up to $425,000. That's an increase for the average home of about $30,000 in 3 months here in Metro Atlanta. So buyers have come back, home values are starting to go back up, and this is certainly something to think about if you plan on buying a home in Metro Atlanta. Another number that you need to keep in mind if you're thinking about buying a home is interest rates. At the end of March, interest rates were at about 6.4. And then in the end of April, they were at about 6.5%. And then at the end of May, we were at about 6.85%. So not a big difference in the average interest rates in the last 3 months, but this has really been kind of bouncing up and down for about 9 months now. But those numbers are really for all of the counties around Metro Atlanta, including Fulton County, Cobb County, Gwinnett, and even some of the southern counties on the south side of Metro Atlanta, like Fayette County or Henry County. This is really a very large area, but let's take a look at some of these specific cities and how the housing market has been doing in the last 3 months in some of the more popular cities. Let's start off with Marietta. Average days on market in the city of Marietta in March was 9 days. In April, it was 7 days. And in May, it was 6 days. So certainly more demand in the city of Marietta than in all of Metro Atlanta. And that's because Marietta is one of the most popular cities. So let's take a look at the average home values in Marietta. In March, average home value in Marietta was $435,000. In April, it was $474,000. And in May, the average home value in Marietta went up to $490,000. Let's take a look at another one, Suwanee, Georgia, which is also a super popular city, and it's in Gwinnett County. So this is a really good city for trying to get an indication of how Gwinnett County is doing as a whole. In Suwanee, the average days on market in March was 8 days. In April, it was 8 days. And in May, it was 4 days. The average home value in Suwanee in March was $591,000. In April, it was $615,000. And in May, it was $655,000. Okay, now let's talk about one of the most shocking cities that I found in all of Metro Atlanta, and this is Alpharetta, Georgia. Alpharetta has had some super surprising numbers. The average days on market in March in Alpharetta was 9 days. And then in April, it was 4 days. And in May, it was 4 days. But the one that definitely surprises me the most is the average home values. In March in Alpharetta, it was $690,000. In April, average home value in Alpharetta went up to $760,000, and in May the average home value went up to $843,000. That's an increase of $150,000 for the average home value in Alpharetta in 3 months. So you might be wondering, like, what is causing all of this? What is causing all of this buyer demand? What is causing, the lowering days on market? What's causing the increase in the average home values? And the biggest reason for this is that the amount of homes for sale is staying very low. There are just not a lot of people putting their homes on the market for sale. And this really makes a lot of sense because so many people have mortgages with interest rates as low as 3%. Now that interest rates are almost 7%, who's going to give up their 3% interest rate to sell their home and buy another home? And the number that has been the most shocking to me is the amount of new homes for sale in the month of May for the last 5 years. So in 2019, in the month of May, we saw 7,300 homes come on the market. In May of 2020, we saw 5,600 homes come on the market in Metro Atlanta. In May of 2021, we saw 5,400 homes come on the market for sale. In 2022, 5,500, but in May of this year, we only saw 4,500 homes come on the market for sale in all of Metro Atlanta. And that number is significantly lower than it was 5 years ago. And there's no question that all of this mayhem that we're seeing in the housing market is because of the lower inventory of homes for sale. And it's all being driven by the low interest rates that so many people got just a year ago. So when I say that I think we're in a new era of the housing market, this is what I'm referring to. I don't think we're going to see many homes coming on the market for sale for a very long time. And I think that home values will just continue to increase every year. Even if we have slowdowns in the market or, a fall or a winter here and there where home values go down a little bit, there's no question that year after year for the next 10 to 20 years, as long as people have those 3% interest rates, there will not be a large amount of homes for sale every year, and home values will continue to go up and buyer demand will continue to increase. So I think these numbers are really what we should be expecting for the next decade or two. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you're thinking about buying a home soon, these numbers can all be kind of surprising. They can be kind of scary. Like, how do you beat out all of that demand? How do you get ahead of all of the buyer demand if there's so much? And there are certainly lots of ways that you can get ahead of the competition or have an advantage over the competition. If you want to know more about how to have the advantage when it comes to all of the buyer competition, check out this video. I'll see you there.